So here we are. I am still in C major, and we learned about the notes. They all have a number, and when we stack them up, they get a Roman numeral. So just to review, here's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So here are all the notes of my C major scale. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is every note here are in the scale. And when we have notes that are in a scale like this, we call those diatonic. So diatonic notes are notes that appear in the scale of the key that we are in. So if I have a D, A, B, E, these notes are all diatonic in the C major scale. If I though make these, if I make these kind of different here, now I have a D sharp, A flat, E flat. These notes are no longer, these are not diatonic notes. These are called chromatic notes. And so the part that matters here is when we're doing these, there's a reason that we do one or the other, but we usually want to stick to diatonic notes at this point. So let's start over here. So where do I start? Rules of thumb. We're going to start on 1, right? So when I think 1, I'm thinking the number 1 of the scale, 1. And it can be any of these ones. So 1 or 3 or 5. So it's going to be G, E, or C. You can start on any, of course we can start on any note. However, we want to make sure that the listener thinks that this is our first note, that is the note of the scale. So we'll start on one of those 3. So I'm just gonna, let's start on an E for no reason whatsoever, and I'm going to, when we've got a melody, we want to have a melody that starts with, something a little bit memorable, and we call this the motive. So if I were to have this idea here, what I've done is I have this simple motive that's a dotted quarter note, an eighth note, a half note. This is the motive. It's kind of that descending scale. 3, 2, 1. Motives can be anything. It could be, if we were to think of Beethoven's, let's do this. He did it like this. There we go. So that triplet motive, that was his motive, and the motive is a very memorable thing. So if we were to just do if I were to just make a melody like this, notice how this melody, there's nothing really wrong with it. This is dumb. This is very boring. The song isn't doing anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually keep these random notes just for the sake of it. And I'm going to just apply some of the things that we have learned. So I'm going to keep this and keep it dotted. The next note was a G, and we'll do a G. And I'm going to go to a E and make it an eighth note, and I'm going to put a C here as a dotted quarter. So it's going to sound like this. Great. So this is my motive, and I'm just going to write in here that this is my motive. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on a new measure. I see how these measures are kind of bulging up a little bit. It's looking a little bit hard to read. Let me just change this view here. There we go. Okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. Let's think about this. Let's remember this chord that I had. Remember my chord when I had, right? So here's my whole chord. And if we look, So here's my C, E, G chord. This is my one, right? This is my green chord, that first chord. Well, all of these notes are part of that chord. So nothing in here is random, nothing here is unassigned. Now, I'm going to take this exact same thing and repeat it. Copy, paste. So we can do a few things. If I move this all up, one thing, look at now I've got F, A, D, F. So I think about, well, what chord is that? Well, I've got D, F, A. So it's those. It's in a different order, but it's this DFA chord. So this is a new chord. And now if I play it all together, it sounds kind of fun. So we've got this motive that's repeating. And what I've got is we kind of think about where do we want this to go. Usually we have this idea of contrasting. We want to have, if we have a motive, we want the motive to be changed by something. If you just repeat this same melody 4 times and we just keep bringing it up, it might sound like it works, but it's going to be very boring. It sounds like this. Right? So this isn't really going anywhere, it's just repetitive. So we want something that breaks this low. So I've got these really jumpy notes. What's the opposite of that? Maybe very stepwise notes. So I'm going to do a scale. So here I've got this note. I've got a D. So if I want to do a scale, I'm going to do a step off of that note. I could step up or I could step down. What note we choose doesn't matter, okay? And I want it to be nice and slow and organized, so it could be a quarter note, it could be 8th note, it could be 16th note. I'm gonna go with 8th note because I think it'll fit nicer. G, F, E, D, and I might, okay, great. So this is my scale. Okay. So we've got this thing. So I've got 4 measures and I've got mode of 1, and then here is my response. Now look, this is that scale. Well, this scale is really just that concert B flat scale. Now remember how I said it doesn't matter what note we do this scale on? Well, that's true. So let's bring it down to C. And keep the same thing. So that's fine. I could bring this note up. Or I could bring this down like this. So it just continues to scale and then this goes to C. All of these are fine, but what we see is none of these notes are random, right? Why did we pick this B? It's finishing this scale. If I were to have a different rhythm up here, that's okay, but we need to keep things consistent. If I were to keep writing my melody over here, we can't start with a whole new idea, right? Use what we've got. So I'm going to take this motive, I'm going to copy it here and paste it there. And I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Now, we could do it again. Right? We could do the same thing. I could change it a little bit. Or what I could do is I could make it go in a different direction. And now I'm just going to start my scale. Right? Same as before. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Oops. Great. And then here we go. So here's my whole melody, or motive. So I've got this melody, and we notice this part when I was doing it, I used the rhythm from the beginning. I'm using chord notes and keeping it all consistent.